since you think you're all grown up now, you can start paying me back for everything I've given you. Your paychecks will go to me.
r/Entitled Parents. What is up, guys? Mr. Reddit here, back with another episode of Entitled Parents Stories. r/Entitled Parents is one of my favorite subreddits, and I really enjoyed making this. Now kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Our first story we'll be reading today is called A Stitch in Time, from user Athlin. After that, The Facepalm Type of Entitled Parent, from user Lafette. And then we'll be finishing up with Entitled Mom Sabotages Me Getting a Job. Thank you so much to our authors for allowing us to read your stories. And if you're an author who would like to see your stories featured on the channel, then drop your link in the comments and I'll come check you out. And welcome to the newest members of the Re-Army, Epic Fortnite Highlights, Suzanne, and Suzanne. And if you're new, join the Re-Army by subscribing for new stories from Reddit every single day. A Stitch in Time. 15th time's the charm. I apologize if I am, again, breaking rules, but I made sure I have over 100 comment karma, so let's see. I've been so binge-watching videos of r/Entitled Parent stories, and I really wanted to contribute one myself. I haven't yet been able to remember any experiences of my own, so I asked a Japanese-American friend of mine, we'll call her I, because I know she grew up with a mom who was a real piece of work. She shared one of her "you won't believe what my mom did" stories with me, and I thought it might work here. Characters. I call her that because I love her. The victim. Entitled Mom. My friend's entitled mother. Okay, Dad. He never did anything mean, just didn't stop his wife when he should have. And grandmother. I's grandmother, to whom she was very close. So, I's mother is a native Japanese. She was born there. Immigrated to the US after college, speaking almost fluent English. I'm not sure if she specifically came to marry I's dad, the okay dad, a white American, or if they met while both here. That detail is a little fuzzy to me. I do know they married within a few years of her coming here, and I was their only child, though I think okay dad has a son from a previous relationship. Now, I was both spoiled and somewhat abused by her mother, which I hope I'll be able to explain. Entitled Mom was always very concerned about how the family looked to outsiders. Their house had to look like a magazine was coming later to take photos for its next issue. The parents each had a car and they always had to look brand new. Okay Dad was always getting hassled if he dared to wear a pair of pants with a single loose thread. Entitled Mom herself was always wearing expensive clothes, makeup, hair done perfectly. I'm sure you get the picture. And I think the entitled mom saw I as an extension of herself. From babyhood till almost her teens, I had to be constantly dressed up. Imagine how a small child might look for a fancy party or an important photo. Pricey dress, big bow in the hair, matching Mary Janes, and that's how I had to look all the time. She wasn't allowed to ever get dirty and was expected to just have endless tea parties with her expensive dolls, I guess. Her real name even roughly means Princess Child. From the outside, I probably looked like she had it made. Nice clothes, wealthy family, a daddy who worshipped her, the most popular toys, and mom who was very much a head of the PTA involved type. But the truth was, I felt stifled, even unloved by her mother. I is smart and always got good grades, but her mother would complain about anything lower than an A+. If I asked to wear jeans so she could play outside, Entitled Mom guilted her about how expensive her dresses were and told her she had all the latest toys she could play with them indoors. I had her own laptop and smartphone before others of her age generally do, but this wasn't to make her happy. It was because it made the family look good for a girl not yet in her teens to have a MacBook and iPhone. And she had no say in her wardrobe until she was at least 13, at which time her maternal grandmother, who I adored, gave her a green suede jacket, which I never saw, but I said it was the one piece of clothing she had ever had that she loved the most. One day she came home from school, intending to grab a jacket before walking her neighbor's dog. She was doing this because the neighbors were on vacation and couldn't find the green suede jacket. I asked her mom, who said,
"Oh, there was a hole in it that couldn't be fixed, so I threw it away. We We don't wear damaged clothes in this family.
I was really upset, but Entitled Mom didn't seem sad about it in the least. Next time I visited her grandma, she told her grandma about the jacket, and to cheer her up, Grandma showed I her favorite kimono. Picture a Japanese person. Most likely what they're wearing is a kimono, which I never saw either, but I said it was deep brown and patterned with trees and leaves all in gold, just absolutely gorgeous. Her grandma told her, "When I die, you can have this kimono to make up for what you've lost and to remember me." At this, I felt a little bit better, and to help her get her mind off the lost jacket, her grandma spent the afternoon showing her pictures and telling her family stories she hadn't heard before. When I was 17, her grandma died after a fairly short illness, something to do with the lungs, I think. I had been visiting her in the hospital daily, doing everything she could for grandma, and had to do it alone because her entitled mother was busy and basically couldn't be bothered to do anything for her own dying mother. At the funeral, she put on a big show of grief to get attention and be consoled, but I said the funeral was the only time she saw Entitled Mom cry over grandma, and those tears were either partly or entirely fake. Entitled Mom sure showed up to the reading of the will, though, and openly showed dissatisfaction with the bequest left her, some amount of money, I don't know how much, and complained that I was left any money at all, though it had been set up in an account only I could access, and not until her 18th birthday. I think Grandma put safeguards in place, so Entitled Mom couldn't get at that money. The will also listed some property, including the aforementioned kimono. I was so happy to be reminded she was getting it, but after the reading, her mother went up to her and said,
"I hope you don't think you're getting that kimono. I'm Grandma's eldest daughter, and I deserve it."
While the family was still grieving, Entitled Mom was invited by some friends on a vacation somewhere tropical, supposedly to get her mind off of her grief. Yeah, right. So she jetted off, basically leaving I to sort through and divide her grandma's belongings by herself. She spent days in the house that was filled with a lifetime of paperwork and belongings, finally coming across the well-stored kimono she'd been shown years ago. This was when her very justified revenge began. When Entitled Mom returned from her trip, she saw that some of Grandma's belongings had been placed around the house and in I's room, so she went to her daughter to demand the brown and gold kimono. With an expression of absolute innocence, I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mother. There was a hole in it that couldn't be repaired, so I had to throw it away. After all, we don't wear damaged clothes in this family, right?" I wishes, and so do I, that she had a picture of her mother's facial expression at that moment. Understand, this was not just a sentimental keepsake or a pretty dress for a party. Old kimonos, if well made and in good condition, can be sold to collectors for many thousands of dollars, which was probably what the Entitled Mom had been planning to do. She started to speak several times, kept getting so flustered her words wouldn't even come out, and finally she just walked away. I didn't get in any trouble. Her father would have stepped in if she had. She had just been following a family rule, right? When I told me this story, I said, "Shame about the kimono, though, that it was ruined." I laughingly informed me that the kimono is in flawless condition. She keeps it stored in a hidden compartment in her closet. Even if her mother finds out about this, the will is clear, and Entitled Mom could get in legal trouble if she tried to take it. After she moves out of her parents' house, I plans to send her mother photos of herself in the kimono, which apparently looks amazing on her. No one's sent to jail, yet at least. No violence, but I find this story pretty satisfying. I hope it has pleased you, reader. Edit. Wow, thank you for all the nice comments. I fall in and out of contact with each other a lot. She's in college and an insanely dedicated student, but next time I speak to her, I will pass along your kind words. Again, I thank you all. Next up we've got the facepalm type of entitled parent. Okay, this one is going to be a little different than my usual post. No huge gotcha or payback, mostly because the entitled parent here is my own mother. And honestly, I struggled to see if this was entitled or just crazy. But considering how many things she's taken from me, I'd say entitled. Read on, you'll understand. I'd like to start by saying I love my mother to death, but she's crazy as crap. I grew up in a very religious family. I myself am still a religious man, but heck, my family is huge and has so many dang problems that not only do I have Reddit content for days, but I think there is to some level a necessary level of crazy in my family just to survive. Early on in my life, grade school, I learned just how annoyingly controlling and entitled my mother could be. Who here remembers the mid to late 90s Pokemon craze? In my old grade school days, Pokemon cards were like fat stacks of cash, and Game Boys were like Lamborghinis. I had to bribe with food, trade, suck up to, and bet my way into the world of Pokemon just so I could have even the slightest touch of the experience. I managed to get my hands on a few junk cards, like a Magikarp, and something else the other kids didn't bother caring about. But finally having a Pokemon card was like winning the freaking lottery twice in the same day. Cue Mother Dearest. Did I mention my family was crazy religious? I still remember it to this day, watching the tattered confetti of my Pokemon cards catching in the wind as she tore them up and threw them out of the window and said,
"These devil cards will make you demon-possessed. Do you want to get demon-possessed and eat your brothers in some crazy blood sacrifice ritual?"
Yeah, it was really that bad. Years later, a friend lended me his Game Boy. His family was very well off, and of course, mine was very, well, not. I hid that thing as best as I could, far, far deep in the mess that was my room. But when I came home the next day, I don't know how or why, but my whole room was tossed, and there was a massive pile of crap on the table as my mother was sitting there with a "we have to talk" look. Apparently, she found the Game Boy, the 2 extra games, and a small pile of toys that she, for some reason, thought were Game Boy related, as well as some candy rocks I got in school and forgot about in my room. Why candy rocks were in the pile? She thought it was drugs. I got the whole demon-possessed talk again, and threats to be sent away to a boys' home if I didn't get my act together. Then she threw out everything. It was only a little while later that I had to explain it to my friends, who didn't take it too hard, but did the foolish thing and tried to get his parents to help and explain the situation. If you've ever had parents like this, you know it's useless trying to talk sense into them. And when his parents got frustrated with mine, they just asked for them to pay back the cost of the Game Boy, which thankfully they did, as they cared a lot about their standing in the community, even though she will always deny it. But yeah, I ended up being grounded for nearly 6 months, and I had to do extra work around the house to pay for what I did. Finally, into my late teenage years, I ended up going over to a friend's house, and I got to play Dungeons & Dragons, which was the funnest game I've ever got to play in my sad, sheltered life. It was glorious. I even played as a paladin, as I still loved, and I love my parents, and religion has always been a big part of our lives, so I even went all out with a creative heretic hunter type game style, and more thinking this was okay, this was good. I had a blast, and well, I made the fatal mistake of talking about it on the way home, and my mother heard the word spell when we were talking about it and went berserk. Just absolute bonkers. I tried to explain everything, which you should all know is just pouring military-grade napalm onto a house fire. I ended up being grounded for over a year, a grounding which, while it technically ended, didn't really end after I left for the Navy. I was older than 18 when I joined the Navy. Why did I listen to them even after I was a full adult? Well, it's got some good and some bad. While my mother is crazy, my dad isn't, but he is super old school, sink or swim. I had to follow the house rules to the absolute letter, or I would have less than an hour to gather my things, and I would be on the streets. I spent a few days in homeless shelters while trying to call their bluffs. The Navy was a way out of that, and I did kind of want to go anyway. But it ended up being a wake-up call for me, and after I got back, I made a few amazing wake-up call style discoveries. My parents were especially hard on me for various reasons. First of all, I was only one of 8 children. They couldn't really not be strict without everyone doing everything and taking over the house. But mainly, my father saw my behaviors and knew right away that I was going to become the absolute worst entitled little crap the world had ever seen. The way I looked at the world back then was like I didn't even know other people existed. It was all about me and how I was offended and how others were so well off, about how I was a victim because I didn't get what I wanted. My dad saw that 10 miles away and let my mother go ham on me, bringing down the wrath of her crazy butt just so I would get used to the cruel realities of the world and not end up some choosing beggar entitled little jerk. And hey, it worked. And I am eternally thankful for my parents, no matter how crazy they are. They still do crap these days. I still remember one little detail. Right before I left for the Navy, my mother kept screaming at me, shrieking that I was going nowhere and that I had to leave. I had to get my life going, to leave the next blah blah blah. And the very first week I left for boot, the first mail call, I got 4 letters from my mother. If the dates were accurate, she wrote the first one before I even arrived. I later discovered that after I left, she adopted 2 cats, a dog, and 2 foreign exchange students. Say what you will about her crazy butt, but maternal instinct is stupid strong. If she doesn't have something to take care of and push towards progress, the woman will go nuts. And again, after the Navy, I felt really bad for her. The dozens upon dozens of times she sent me long letters and phone calls over and over again, begging me to come home, to spend time with her and more. I spent the next year trying to be there for her, but she went right back to telling me to get a life, go out and do something, to move out and more. I did pretty quickly, and the very first day in my new apartment, I got a text begging me to come and visit. I'm still trying to find a way to politely tell her to get her brain checked. I love my crazy mom and hope she doesn't have brain problems. There's a whole lot more to this and plenty of stories, but I figured I would post it today because of something literally just minutes ago. I work nights. I literally sleep from 9 to 5, so I don't often get to go to church. She knows this, but begs and pleads for me to go to church with her every chance she gets. So I decided to surprise her, sacrificing my sleeping schedule, falling asleep early, waking up and turning my whole sleep schedule on its head just so I could go to Easter Sunday church with her, like she's asked 24 times leading up to this very day. As every time she asked, I had to tell her, if it's in the cards. And so I show up to their house, ready for church in my finest Sunday clothes. Guess where they are? 5 states over, doing I have no idea with my grandfather, begging and pleading for over a month. And I finally make the time, and they go halfway across the dang country away from me. I am not pleased. But heck, you can choose your friends, not your family. She might be crazy as heck, but I know she loves me to death, and I love her right back. And our final story of the day, entitled Mom Sabotages Me Getting a Job. For our cast, we've got me and my entitled mother. Most of my life, I had done various extracurricular activities, and there was one in particular that my mom was really adamant that I do this because she has done it as a child. She forced me into it, at least staying for 1 year. At first, I hated it, but slowly ended up liking it. However, in my 4th year of the activity, I started facing challenges and things I was not interested in. The program started heading towards things that I did not want to do, so I talked to my mom about quitting. She was furious and said no. However, anytime she boasted about my accomplishments in the program to others, she would say that I was there by choice and I could leave if I wanted to. So in front of her friend, I told her I wanted to quit and get a job. She pointed out that at the summer camp for the training, I got paid $10 a day, which she took as soon as I got the money. I stuck by my guns and told her I wanted a job. We argued about it constantly, and she told me how stupid I was for wanting a job.
You just want a job because your friends have a job. I support you, so getting a job is an insult to me.
I'm in junior year. It's honestly sad that I don't have a job at this point, and it's not an insult to you. If anything, you would have to support me less, and you'd have more money for yourself.
But if you have a job, then who will be here to help me with my things? You hardly help me with my things. How can you work an actual job?
Well, for one, I would be getting paid, and 2, I'll still do my chores and stuff with the job.
But what about me? This is unfair to me. I need help sorting my office and bedroom, and if you have a job, you won't be there to help me. And what about what I want? I want you to stay in this program and be like me.
It's not like I'll be at this job all the time. I can still help you sometime. And this program is becoming something I'm not interested in. They're heading towards something I really have no interest in.
Whatever. You're just a selfish jerk. Have fun scrubbing toilets with your stupid friends.
None of my friends scrub toilets. After that, my mom got a boyfriend out of town and would leave for the week to see him and come home on weekends, so I took this opportunity to apply for jobs. I applied at a bunch of places, but one of the places I was almost guaranteed a job as my best friend worked there too. My mom was upset, but didn't make much of an argument about me getting a job. Instead, she insisted that I pay her now.
Well, since you think you're all grown up now, you can start paying me back for everything I've given you. Your paychecks will go to me.
Absolutely not. That's going to be my money, and I was going to start saving for post-secondary.
Your first year of paychecks will be given to me, understand? You can't even handle that much money. You're just going to spend it all on fatty food and get fatter.
I am responsible enough not to spend all my money. I plan on putting half of each paycheck in my savings account, so I think that's a fair plan to save up.
Whatever.
I moved out shortly after that and lived with my best friend who was at the job I was almost guaranteed for. I was waiting for the call back, and my mom and I had gotten into a fight about something, probably me moving out or applying for jobs. But my mom took my phone, despite me telling her that I was waiting for a call back, and she told me that she would let me know if they called. Well, I never heard back. A job fair came up for a fast food place, so I applied there and was hired on the spot. It was during this time, at this job, I found out that the other place had called me back, but my mom didn't bother to answer it or tell me. She decided to tell me this 4 months later. Furious, I went to the place I had originally applied to and I explained the situation. They were understanding and said that they were still willing to hire me. So I quit my fast food job and am now working in retail with my best friend. I have been working there for 1.5 years now and am a valued employee and very respected by my colleagues. Take that, entitled mom.
How dare you be so disrespectful to your mother? You stupid little brat!
Karen, you really need to learn to start knocking before just barging in here.
Shut up, Mr. Reddit! You're the most pathetic of them all, with your stupid little re-army. Nothing but daddy's boys and stupid girls.
Karen, I heard a few rumors about you. Maybe you can tell us if they're true or not.
Rumors? What kind of rumors?
Well, I heard your teeth are so yellow that when you smile at traffic, they all slow down.
What? How dare you! I use Crest whitening strips every day!
I also heard you were so fat, you had to get baptized at SeaWorld.
Blasphemy! I go to spin class 4 days a week.
And I heard you're so entitled that your kid wrote a story about you that got 5,000 upvotes on Reddit.
That's it, Mr. Reddit. I'm going to untick everyone's notification bell for your channel, so they won't even know when you release these stupid videos.
What? You can't do that.
Oh, but Mr. Reddit, I already have. And now very few of your re-army have the notification bell turned on for your channel.
Alright, you guys, let's really stick it to Karen by making sure we all have the notification bell turned on so we don't miss the awesome stories. And by leaving as many reads as possible in the comments.
Don't listen to him. He's nothing but a daddy's boy.
Hey, Karen. Shut up. And welcome to our newest Read Generals, Fluffy Fox, GC Fan 1987. PewDiePie is the king, Tracy Button, and Lucy. That's all for now, but don't be blue. I'll be back soon with more stories for you. Remember to listen to Mr. Reddit every night, so your dreams will be wonderful like you are and bright.